I want to kind of destigmatize the money part of influencer deals.
Welcome to the Spit It Out podcast. This is where we ask the hard questions about life, dentistry, and healthcare. I'm Meg, a registered dental hygienist who loves to brush, floss, and spit out the truth.
Welcome back to Spit It Out with Meg. I'm your host, Meg. Today, we're going to talk about being an influencer. And I don't like the word influencer, but at this point, I do think I influence people just a little bit. And not just at work, online as well. Something I've noticed the last 3 years of being a hygienist is that my job is mostly psychology and sales. I have to convince someone to care about their oral health. I have to sell someone on using an electric toothbrush, even if I don't get any commission on it. But seriously, I feel like every sales tactic that I do is for brushing, flossing, water flossing, etc. And it sounds really silly, but I think I've gotten quite good at it. On the internet, however, I like to influence people on different tools they can use in their mouth, different ways to communicate effectively with patients, advocating for patients and providers, and all that fun stuff. But today I want to talk about being an influencer, not a clinician. Although the two work together, being an influencer is definitely a side job that I do that is not in the operatory and quite honestly completely separate. I started my page, Megan the Bagel, way back in 2019, I believe, when TikTok was just starting to be TikTok. I used to just post really silly videos and honestly just dumb trends. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of my page, you might find little trends that would bring you back to 2019. Back in 2019 was when TikTok was just really chill. It was fun. It was the good old days. It really was. I remember making TikToks in my kitchen and my room and using like stupid props, like a hanger and a t-shirt and just ridiculous, but it's so much fun. And then I started college in 2019 as a freshman at Boise State University. I kind of put down TikTok for a little bit. If you want to go back a couple more steps, I used to do vlogs pretty frequently on YouTube. I was originally a YouTube girl, not a TikTok girl, for a long time. So I kind of put down all social media creating just for a minute because I needed to focus on school. I did a couple vlogs here and there, did a couple TikTok trends, and then all of a sudden, one of my videos that was so stupid and I made it in like the middle of the night went viral. And back in 2020, viral was like 1 million, 2 million views, etc. And back in those days, if posts went viral, typically a bunch of followers came with it. Sometimes that's still true, but most of the time I notice if someone's post goes viral, they don't get as much quick followers as back in 2020. The video that I made was really silly. It was after my shift at Boise State. I was working in the catering department and I had this jar of melatonin gummies and I was like, haha, I didn't even realize these were gummies for a second. I'm going to make a TikTok about it. And quite literally, oh, here it is, 6.1 million views to this day.
So I'm over here, zoning out on TikTok, eating some gummies, and then I realized, these aren't gummies. These are melatonin gummies.
Yeah, so that post to this day, that was made on February 5th, 2020, 6 years ago. Insane. Post has 1.3 million likes and 5.4 thousand comments and 41,000 saves, which is really crazy. And I've had a couple other random videos pop off. Yeah, so those were all made during COVID. I was really lonely, and that's what we did back then. If you weren't there, I'm sorry, but if you know, you know. So after those videos, I took a break again. I went to dental hygiene school, and I made some random dental hygiene school content that went nowhere. Nobody cared about it, but it was just for me. It was just fun. I even changed my username to The Little Hygienist, and it was inspired by Hadir, which is the Fit Little Hygienist, which love her to death. If you're listening to this, you're amazing. One of my OG inspirations right there. And I posted hygiene content like on and off for like a couple months. And then I completely deleted TikTok off my phone. I really needed to lock in on my dental hygiene school. So that's what I did. After graduation, I still didn't really post on TikTok. Year after, still nothing. And then last year, it was 2025. It was probably like January or February or something. I was scrolling and I noticed that my friends Julio and Aniston were on live and they were talking about dentistry. And I was like, wait, this is kind of cool. I was like, I can make videos. Why don't I not making videos? I don't know. I kind of forgot that I could do that. And they totally kind of jump started me into thinking about it. I was like, oh, shoot, like I can do that too. And I would hop on their lives and then we all became kind of like mutual friends slowly. And yeah, so it's been almost a year since I really started taking social media seriously. And I kind of wanted to go through what I've done in the last year only. This has only been 1 year. I don't have a whole lot of experience under my belt, but I do think I've learned so much. And I wanted to go through and share what I've learned in the past year just so you guys can take some advice from me and not do the mistakes that I've done and maybe get a little further ahead if you're stuck somewhere. Okay, so let's start with my first struggle, which was making good content. Content styles change. That's the thing. A lot of people forget about this, but if you look at content that was popular in 2023 versus content that was popular in 24, and 25, you can see a noticeable difference in quality, production, and topics that people talk about. Trends change. A year ago, we were talking about OPAs, oral preventative assistance, being a thing. That was a big trend. A lot of people were talking about that. And honestly, I don't think people cared as much about super high quality production of videos a year ago. I think it started trickling in back in mid 2025. I really think so. That's when I started really using my back camera, better lighting. I started adding different things to my videos. But when I first started, it was just me, my camera, and whatever lighting I had. And that's okay. I still think that's a great place to start because when you first start out and you're like, I want to do this, but I don't know what to do, you just got to start doing it, if that makes sense. Don't wait. Don't be scared. Just do it. Because if you don't do anything, you're never going to get anywhere. A few months into making videos about dental hygiene and my lifestyle, I started narrowing down what I like to talk about. It took me longer than expected to figure this out because there is dental hygiene as an umbrella, right? But then there's subtopics that each creator is kind of more passionate about. For me, over the past year, I've realized I like talking about left-handed struggles. I like advocating for our profession. I like talking about the struggles of our profession along with dentists and assistants. Other things I like to talk about would kind of be ergonomics, workflow efficiency, high-quality instruments, things like that. Other than that, I pretty much keep everything to a minimum. I don't like talking about my personal life too much. I'll do tidbits here and there, mostly on my Instagram stories, but that's kind of it. Another thing to note is I started really trying to grow my platform on TikTok first last year. I was really honing in on lives, on TikTok, just in general, all of the programs that they had. And I didn't really start posting on my Instagram until probably mid 2025, probably July, June, that area. And if you look at the two, my TikTok still has more followers, but I do think my Instagram has more engagement. And in general, I do think Instagram's just easier to use for me. So ever since TikTok was acquired this year or last year, I think it was last year, I've slowly started to shift my focus from TikTok to Instagram. I don't know, something's weird on TikTok and I don't really love it. I truthfully think that Instagram in general is just easier to use. But you'll notice that my Instagram is actually starting to pick up and my followers are actually starting to get close to my TikTok, which is kind of funny. I also noticed that Instagram has a better feature when it comes to showing your content to your followers. I think TikTok does For You page and following, but as a TikTok user for the past 4 years, 5 years, I didn't really look at my following, rarely. But on Instagram, most of my content that I see is the people that I follow. And that's kind of how I want it to be. I just do think it's completely different. And I think the followers that I have on Instagram are a lot more loyal to my content and they want to see it. That's why they press the follow button in the first place. Okay, so moving forward, once I started posting on Instagram the same content as TikTok, I noticed that my followers actually gained quite exponentially over on Instagram. A lot of my posts resonated with people more on Instagram than it did TikTok. And sometimes it was vice versa. So I always recommend cross-posting. Just do it. It'll save you time. Plus, sometimes I get brand deals that are only Instagram now. And if I hadn't grown my Instagram this past year, I probably wouldn't have gotten those. After you have your niche down a little bit or you're working on it, you've improved your quality of lighting, your quality of videos, you'll probably notice that your followers are going to start increasing a little more, which is awesome. With increased engagement on your platforms comes increased money. If you're someone who is interested in brand deals, that's kind of where this whole brand deal thing comes in. If you're not, you can totally disregard this part. So going on to brand deals, I got my first one. It was like a vitamin company back last year. They paid me $100 and it was like the dumbest ad I've ever done. Here's a couple things that I just want to get into really quick when it comes to brand deals is that just because someone's offering you money does not mean it's good money. And what I mean by that is there's going to be companies that offer you money for products that you would never use, products you'd never recommend, and products that probably don't even work. In my opinion, I would not take those brand deals, especially if I've tried the product and I don't like it and I wouldn't recommend it. Because trust is earned when it comes to your viewers. And if they see you doing a bunch of brand deals for things that you don't actually like, you don't actually use, people might call you a sellout. And what a sellout is like, I'm just going to take any money that I can, even if I don't care about the product, and I'm just going to take the money and run. And the thing about that is if you do that a lot, especially as a viewer, I lose that credibility with the creator. I'm like, kind of like the Kardashians, for example. I feel like a lot of the times they just do a bunch of brand deals and you're like, oh, they're just doing another brand deal. They don't actually use this product. It's true. It's the same thing. And I see some people online. Sometimes I'll see that where I'm like, oh, there's a creator promoting this. And I feel like they don't actually use that because I've never seen them use that in any of their videos. Every once in a while, I think it's okay to like promote something maybe you kind of use on and off, but people really do pay attention to your daily routines and products that you regularly show in your videos. For example, Flouse and I have been in contact for probably 8 or 9 months now. I actually use their product every single day, or every other day at least. I've given them to my family. I've given them to my friends because I genuinely believe in the product and I think it's great. Same thing with Coco Floss. I use Coco Floss alongside my Flouse. I interchange them. I love it. But for example, let's just say a company sent me some random floss and I hated it, but they were like, hey, we'll give you $50 to do a video. $50 sounds exciting. You know, let's say you're not making any money online. You're like, well, I'll take $50. But then let's just say you do the video and it doesn't mean anything to anyone. You're just taking money with no meaning. Like there's no heart behind the product. Does that make sense? Doesn't matter how much money it is. $50 was just an example. But yeah, I've been offered money to promote products that I just don't believe in. And I've gotten to the point where I love doing this. I don't need to make any money. I think it's great that I can. And all of the money that I make from my platform just goes right back into my platform. I've never taken any from it. Personally, I have a business bank account and I put it all in there and it's used for business, which is all of this stuff. I find no joy in lying to my audience about a product I don't really believe in. I would rather wait for a better opportunity to show you guys something that I truly love and I truly believe in. And a lot of the times the products that I promote, I actually recommend to my patients as well, which I think should be the norm. So when it comes to brand deals, you can take whatever brand deals you want. But if you want to be credible and you want your audience to trust you, I would limit it to products and items that you actually use and you would actually recommend. Another thing is when it comes to the money part, where are you putting this money? How is this money being taxed? A lot of people don't talk about that, and I want to kind of destigmatize the money part of influencer deals. Last year, I really wanted to start an LLC, but I didn't know how, and all the money I was making, which truthfully wasn't a lot, I was just keeping in my personal savings. I would buy little things like this stand. I bought some pillows in my background. I have some random things in here like this lighting. All of that I purchased on my own, and I kind of kept all the receipts on a Google Drive so that it was easier to keep track of everything for my business. So then in November of last year, I officially made my LLC. I did everything myself. I had a little bit of help by the internet, but I did it all black and white. She's filed. She's good. And then that was great, right? Woo, we're official. We're a business. Okay. Well, where am I going to put the business money? So I had to figure that out. So I had to go to the bank, open all the cards, do all that stuff. So now we have a business account for business stuff. So any money I make goes right into the business account. But what about taxes? Because you can't just make money and the government's going to take some. They're not going to just let you have all of it. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works. When it comes to the money that you make, you do have to pay taxes on it if you do not spend it for business expenses. I'm not a CPA. I'm not recommending, you do anything by yourself. I'd recommend getting a CPA. Basically, if Megan Kohler took all of Polished Meg's money, I'd probably pay like 45% tax on it. That's what my CPA said. It's probably around 30 to 40. Don't quote me on that, but it doesn't really matter because my plan was, well, I'm going to use all the business money that I can within my means. And here's the thing. Megan Kohler pays a lot of taxes. I pay my taxes, okay? But my small business, to keep it afloat, I need tax breaks. And that's what the small business LLC does. And that's why you see as CPAs. Because if you continue to pay 50% taxes on your small business, you're not going to be able to keep it running. You have to use the money for your business. And this is not tax evasion. This is legal. This is actually a thing. You get your money for your small business and you use your money for your small business items. That's how all businesses work. Period. I don't want none of you coming at me saying, oh, you're avoiding taxes. Oh, I paid my taxes, babe. You can look at my W-2s. I paid them a lot. But as a business, a very small business, you have to stay afloat. And by putting the money that you earn back into your business and making it flow, that's the best way to do it. So yes, we got a CPA, thankfully, kind of talked me through some tips and tricks to like figure out how to do this whole business thing because it's hard. I mean, doing it all by yourself, that's why there's bankers and accountants and lawyers and all of that stuff. They're supposed to help you with that. And so if you can, highly recommend getting a CPA because all of your money is the 1099 money, which means you pay the taxes. So if you can avoid a little bit of that, it helps you out and it helps your business out. Moving forward with my small business, I have some goals and this is just my second year doing my small business stuff. So things I'm really excited about are using my funds to just take me places to meet you guys. Honestly, I'm going to a couple dental hygiene conventions this year and all of that is a business expense, which I'm super excited for because working so hard behind the scenes on my podcasts and my videos and these select brand deals I do decide to do, it all goes into that. And I'm really just excited to meet all of you guys. And I know there's some people out there that I'm really excited to see in person. I have some really close hygiene besties that I'm really excited to hug so tightly and like get a picture with finally. So yeah, I'm really excited to do all that. And I don't really know what the rest of the year is gonna be like. I mean, it's almost March, so we've only done 2 months of the year by the time this video is being made. So it's all kind of TBD. But I feel like I'm going in a really good direction. These are all just kind of me saying some things, but I do think that I've worked so hard to get to where I am and I just feel like there's so much more for me to do and I'm really excited to help more people and hopefully inspire more people to communicate with their patients and advocate for themselves a little more. I'm going to make some episodes about advocating for yourself in the office. I feel like that's a super important topic that could be easily overlooked. So I'm really excited for that. And I'm really excited to see where this podcast goes. Very excited. I'm taking a little photo shoot today, inspired by Pinterest and myself. I have some cool ideas. It's going to be like a 30-minute thing. It's super quick, but I'm really excited to see how those turn out. Other than that, I got some fun interviews coming up, so stay tuned. I hope this helped you out. If you have any questions, email me, DM me, or comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.